Hello, it's Chris Sensei. Sensei in Japanese means teacher, so in every video I try to teach you something. Now, today we're going to talk about the Japanese language, and we're going to talk about first person pronouns. Now, in English, we say I for first person pronouns. I is used for everything. When we think of Japanese culture, we think of a culture that doesn't want to stand out in the way that we think of like Americans wanting to stand out. Japanese tend to not want to bring a lot of attention onto themselves. But one of the ways that they can be individual is the way they say I. Now, here are 10 ways to say I in Japanese. 1. Watashi. Watashi is a formal way of saying I. It can be used by men or women, male or female. And as I said, it's used in work situations. It's used in formal situations if you're talking to somebody that you're not familiar with. Watashi is a very safe and common way to say I in most situations. Next, we have watakushi. Now, watakushi is more polite than watashi, and it's not used as often. The imperial family will use watakushi, but in common conversation, I personally have never heard somebody say it in a conversation. 3. Next, atashi. Atashi is used by females, generally speaking, and it's informal. This is when they're speaking to friends or people they're very familiar with. We also have atakushi, which is a word I've never heard before, but that is also female, usually female, but it's a bit more polite than atashi. Next we have uchi. Uchi is again more female than male and is informal, and I believe mostly used in the Kansai area, which is where Osaka is, but I could be wrong. Next, we have washi. Washi is male, usually male, and it is used by older men, maybe in a drama or an anime. You would find washi by the old grandfather figure or the old wise man. In that situation, you could use washi. Not very common in normal conversation. Next, we have boku. Boku is mostly male and usually used by young people. So boku is used mostly by children or young males, but can sometimes be used by other people to be a little bit softer way of saying I. And next we have ore. Ore is male, usually male, and this is informal and a stronger version of how to say I for men. Usually, for example, when I taught students, the young students, the male students, would either say boku or ore. And boku is softer and ore is more, a masculine form of using it. I personally, as a non-Japanese person, don't use ore in my speaking unless I'm using it as a joke to surprise somebody. I normally use watashi or boku in most speaking situations. Next, we have jibun. Now, jibun is basically male or female, and it again, is a way of saying I. It's often used by athletes or military. I hear it sometimes in different places, but it's not something I hear every day. Another form is ware. Now, ware is formal, and it's often used or can be used in speech, meetings, or discussion. Again, I don't normally speak in such formal situations, so I have never heard of ware in my personal experience in Japanese. For me, I think as for non-native speakers, watashi is the safest. You actually will have some people say their own name, I think especially women. So instead of saying I want, they can say, for example, Tomoko ga hoshii, but they mean I. In English, that sounds very strange to our ears, but it can be said in Japanese. If I was to say it in English, I would say, Chris wants a cookie, which, again, in English is not how we would say it, but it can be used in Japanese. Again, my advice, if you were to use words watashi, if you're a female, you can use uchi or atashi. And if a male, you can use watashi or boku, would be my advice. I would stay away from ore in general, unless you're really, really sure of the people you are talking to and know that they will be okay with it. I have used it occasionally and only with people that are really good friends. And even then, they're a little bit surprised for me to say, ore ga, ore wa, nantoka, that kind of speech. So it's just an interesting difference between Japanese and English. Whereas we say I across the board, but in Japanese, there are 10 ways that I talked about, and there are even more ways to say I. One other way I didn't say is to not say it at all. For example, you can say, instead of saying, watashi wa nantoka hoshii, kore hoshii, I want. But you don't have to say I. It's very much like Spanish, where you can say yo quiero or quiero. And in that way, you don't have to use yo, but the verb is conjugated so you understand it means I. In Japanese, the verb is not conjugated to change. You have to know it is from context. You have to know they mean I just through context. So I hope you enjoyed learning 10 different ways to say I in Japanese. Watashi, boku, ore, washi, watakushi, jibun, ware. And if I was a female, I could say atashi, atakushi, uchi, jibun mo yueru. You can say jibun and Chris. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you next time here on Chris Sensei channel. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and have a great year. All right, see you everyone.